Okay, we are back. And a lot of stuff, a lot of ideas are flying all around. It is Donovan Sadiq. It is Tay the Wilder of the Wild, Tay Wilder. And a lot of stuff on our mind, a lot of stuff happening this week. And pretty soon, it won't be long before Mrs. Tay will become an empty nester.
Oh, Lord. Well, yeah, I've got a while. Dominic, he's not even 13. Well,
Yeah,
maybe
but
13.
so you're talking about another 7 years.
Yeah.
Seven more years ago.
It'll be me and Aria.
All right. Monster kitty. And
Isn't she freaking adorable?
she's a beautiful cat.
Thank
Beautiful
you, Merino
cat.
Valley Animal Shelter.
Beautiful cat, but she wanted those two, and they got rid of those two, but it worked out.
Yeah.
You got her. But what I want to ask you, your oldest has graduated
He graduates next week.
next week, and that was your baby for a long time.
5 years. That was my
You
dog.
have a picture of him in his first day of school, and
Yeah.
you're going to be getting a picture of him in his last day of school. How does that make you feel?
It's a very emotional thing. I don't think I've ever felt like this. You know, it's I can't even put it into words. It's like it's the most beautifully heartbreaking thing I'm going to be a part of.
Are you going to cry?
Probably. I'm getting misty thinking about it.
I mean, I don't want you to be one of those women to be like, you ain't gonna be on the floor.
Am I like that? Like
No.
Okay.
you don't want to embarrass the boy like he's graduating.
No.
Because when I saw my son graduate, I was like, "Yep, I'm done."
But
Peace.
I remember my mom. When I graduated, when my sister's I remember when my sister graduated. It was 2001, and I was so excited. But I was still sad because I was like, oh my God, my sisters were growing up, because I'm the oldest of three. So,
So you're old news and they're new news.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah. But, my sisters, watching them graduate, it was like, wow. And I think about, because my son and my youngest sister are only, 8 years apart.
Right.
They're only not even 8 years apart.
Wow. Okay.
So, like 6-7 years apart.
Yeah.
So, it's like, wow.
My mom's youngest brothers are 3 days older than me.
Oh, wow.
So.
It's just, okay, so my son is the oldest of the grandchildren.
Mm-hmm.
of the six, and he's the first to graduate. My niece Kaylee is next. And
Right, they're all going to come right behind each other.
She's 14, so she has, and it's beautiful because they get to have their moment.
Mm-hmm.
Kaylee gets to have her moment, and then there's Dominic,
Mm-hmm.
and then my nephew Jason, and they're literally months apart.
Right.
So, and they're going to graduate the same year, but thankfully they're in two different counties, so Dominic will graduate. If we stay here,
Right.
Dominic will graduate first,
Right.
and then Jason will graduate next.
Okay.
And then again, my sisters did it again. Well, I shouldn't say my sisters because it was me and my sister. And then my two younger sisters, their youngest children are months apart. Okay. So February and July. And so they go to school, they're the same age or the same grade. Mm-hmm. So again, being in two different counties, my parents, God willing, will be able to, I think it's the beauty of life, I think, as a parent, when you're able to bring this life into the world and watch it, and watch him, watch your child grow, and you help them, learn things.
And they leave the nest and fly.
And that's my thing. I'm waiting. I'm so excited to see what he'll do next. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the beauty of kids. It's like,
I have to disagree with you. The beauty of the kids is making them. But go ahead.
Well, yeah, the fun of it is making them. But, but watching them flourish and become the adults that you hope them to be, and exceed, I think that's awesome.
Absolutely.
And, my dad, my dad and I are really close. My mom and I are really close. And, my dad, all their children are grown. My youngest sister being 26, and we're all parents. And my dad and I were sitting out, in the backyard by the pool, having a beer, talking about, my dad was like, my dad's 63. Mm-hmm. He's still a good-looking man, you know. My parents, you know, they're really great people. And my dad said, I never pictured my life. I never pictured being here. You know, because my parents both grew up, you know, in the ghetto. You know, and now my parents are balling out of...
But that's always been the secret. If you work hard...
And my dad is an incredible... And I think that's what my problem is. Because I think in my life, you know, and I know I'm an anomaly of my friends, because I grew up in a 2-parent household where a lot of my friends did not.
Yes, you're an anomaly.
I grew up, and a lot of people that I went to high school with, they do have 2-parent households, but it's some type of dysfunction within that 2-parent household. But I grew up in a wonderful home. You know, my parents, my mom is in banking, my dad, you know, is in transportation and logistics.
Aerospace.
And my dad set the benchmark for all men, because my dad, how he through their highs, through their lows, through their, you know, through everything, he has always shown my mother nothing but the utmost of respect. You know, even when they were, you know, and I know that being the oldest, and I was around, you know, for much longer than my sisters, and I got to see a lot more than my sisters did, because I was around when my parents were in their early 20s and struggling. The
beautiful struggle. It's called the beautiful struggle.
And it's a beautiful struggle, because my parents, when I was 10, aren't my parents now at 39. My parents are a beautiful couple. They really are. And they're adorable because they orbit around each other. They really do. And they go on vacations. They do all these things that inspire me and motivate me. And I'm not romanticizing my parents, because I understand that there was a struggle to get to that point. You know, even with my grandparents, there were, you know, both sets. And when I say that everyone in my family is married, my grandparents married until they all died. I mean, until my aunt, my Auntie Mary, you know, she lost her husband 6 months after she lost her mother. My Auntie Barbara, my Uncle Darrell, they're still married, 4 kids. You know, all of my family. When I say marriage, and it's not just the goal of marriage; it's to sustain that marriage and the longevity of that marriage. That's what I was taught. My great grandparents. I was fortunate enough to grow up around my great grandparents until my great grandmother. My great grandfather died first, and I was probably 11 or 12 or 13 when he passed. But my great grandmother, that evil broad, hung on until I was in my 20s. My grandparents hung on until I was in my mid-30s. So I was fortunate enough to have that, to experience the longevity of love, and then experience it from, you know, building that foundation with my parents, because I grew up on 88th in Manchester, you know, and if anybody's familiar with LA, you gotta learn to, you know.
My family's on Hooper and 53rd Street.
You know, my grandmother lived off 47th and my son's on his way home. My grandmother lived off of 47th and Western. My mom grew up on 121st and Slater. So, you know, but the struggle, like even listening to my grandparents, because they're both from the South, and they talk about, you know, the struggles that they had, because my grandmother is very, 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 very light. And I mean, she passes for white. She's so light. I mean, I call him a highlighter, because she was she didn't look like a mixed individual, because my great grandmother, her mother was Native American. But she was so fair that she had red hair and green. She passed for white, and my grandfather is this dark cocoa skinned black man. And of course, in rural Alabama, we got problems. So that's why a lot of my family's out, you know, was out here. And I think what this young generation, and I can even say, I think a lot of it is because of, and I don't fault text messaging, instant messaging, FaceTime, and all these other things. We have taken courting and getting to know people, and we've gone into this instantaneous. Everything is instantaneous. You know, I hit a like, you know, on your Instagram. I hit, you know, the thumbs up on your Facebook, and you know, I send you a couple instant messages, and now, you know, we're supposed to be
hooking up. Right.
Yeah, and it's like we've taken the romance out of dating, and now we have meet and greets, and I don't do that. Mm-hmm. If you want to get to know me, then we have to go out as not, oh, let's have a meet and greet, you know, at the no.
Okay. So let me ask you this, because I was trying to go where Brandon's going to graduate, empty nester. You know, you were previously married.
Yeah.
And not to be like ascertaining, but Brandon's dad's going to come in this week. How do you feel? You know, how are your feelings in regards to?
My ex-husband's a piece of work, and you know, yeah. I told you about.
Yeah, you don't have to go into I'm just.
No. My ex-husband, I think.
Because I told you he was going to come.
Yeah, even though I had
it's kind of hard to yeah.
Only because he has a history of bailing out at the last minute.
Yeah, anyway, absolutely. But at the graduation, are you going to be on one side and he on the other?
No.
Are you guys going to sit together as a family?
We are a family.
Okay, good.
We are a family. Come hell or high water.
That's where I was kind of going.
No, my idea of family doesn't end because you divorce. You know, your family. We have children. We've raised children together. We have shared experiences as a married couple, and then we have shared experiences as co-parents. And you know, our divorce was ugly.
Sure.
It was easy, but it was ugly. And the only reason why I say it was easy because one, we're in the state of Georgia where it's 31 days from the time you file and then it's done.
Boom, done. Mine was 86 house here in California. Okay.
But it was one of those things where, you know, when you're trying to navigate back from, you're dealing with, you know, the fallout from your divorce, the fallout of not just losing your identity as a married person, and it's changing your name back to, you know, I elected to change my name back. It's redefine. It's now trying to redefine who you are as an individual, not as a married person. So it was one of those things, you know, where it was very rocky. It was very rough, and it was very scary. And it took a lot. And, you know, I was in Georgia because, you know, there's churches are like 7-Elevens out there. Everybody's got a damn mega church. And I went to one church and I didn't feel like home. I went to another church. It just didn't sit right. And I went to another church and I was like, you know, because sometimes, you know, not everybody's church is your lane. Yeah. And I had a lot of negative experiences in the South and in church. So I decided that, okay, maybe Christianity isn't for me. Maybe it's not my lane. Maybe it isn't. And that's when I started to learn about different other religions. And I've always been one that loves to read about different religions.
Right, I studied all the religions.
I think, you know, especially Eastern religions, I think there's beauty in religion, in my opinion. It's just when people distort it that it starts to get ugly. So that's when I started to figure out, where do I fit in this world? You know? And my ex-husband is still on that journey, you know, because he's still kind of in 2011, where I'm present in 2017.
So as somebody who comes from a long line of people who stay married, how do you feel being divorced? And I'm you know, you're always going to be loved, but you know what I mean? Because it's like when I went through divorce, I felt like a failure. Like,
and it was the feeling of failure and reconciling that fact. Okay, you know, it's like, all right. You know, when you have my sister who's been with her, you know,
since high school,
since their sophomore year in high school, and you know, my
unheard
parents
of nowadays,
who have been together since they met at a public pool when, you know, they were teenagers, and you know, my grandparents, when they just so happened to stumble across each other, you know, they were out and about, you know. When you have people that have the longevity. And, you know, they have that staying power. And then you're like, well, girl, I'm getting divorced.
Yeah, I'm out.
I'm out. I'm tapping out. But, you know, I know that in the end, I can look back and reflect on what I did wrong. what I need to do in the future to, you know, to not go down, to not make the same mistakes. And then...
And ask more questions.
And, oh my God.
If it looks like it acts like it probably is.
But I think a lot of it was a naivete, because
young,
it was a
young
lot of things that, it was a lot of things that were outside my wheelhouse that I never experienced in my life. You know, I'm to this day, I've never had a parking ticket. So,
can I tell you something? I didn't mean to cut you off. Do you know that I can tell the difference between a girl that has her father in her life versus one that doesn't?
You know what? I've heard that.
You can tell.
But I think a lot of things is I don't know the difference. Well, I don't know what it's like to not have my dad. I can pick up the phone. I can text my dad right now. We can sit here. Even when I was, you know, in Japan, I could pick up the phone and call my dad, and we can sit here and just chit chat like we, you know, sitting in the backyard having a beer. You know, my dad is my dad is my dad. You know?
But what, you know, when I say that, what I mean is a lot of guys that are probably like-minded like me. When you like, I would prefer. I love women that when a woman has her father in her life, a strong father in her life, she holds herself a little bit different.
Well, a lot of people say your dad's are your first love. Your first love,
and he's what you pattern what a man's supposed to be.
And it is. And I think a lot of it, and unfortunately with my ex-husband, he has a completely different dynamic. He grew up in a completely different dynamic
of
than I did.
Family structure. Right.
Yes, my family, we roll deep and we go hard. Right. And that's just who we are.
Do you think that's the reason why you're home now and you're going through this journey by yourself, at least this part of your life by yourself? Do you think because of that is why it's hard to find somebody that's compatible?
Yeah, and I think a lot of it is I've outgrown the IE. You know, and it's no shade to my friends who I've been friends with, you know, since we were, you know, eating the little churro bites at Taco Bell. You know, it's just one of those things where I tried to come home and make a place here. Mm-hmm. But, you know, when you've been gone for 20 years and then you come back.
Come back to what?
Home just isn't the same anymore. Right. You know, Dairy Queen isn't off on California Boulevard, you know, off of California anymore. The Tyler Mall isn't the Tyler Mall. It's the Galleria at Tyler.
This city's a totally different city
it's
for me.
It's a complete, you know, when I left, you know, March was popping.
Right.
You know, it was Sunnymead. It wasn't.
Yeah, when I left, there was no Moreno Valley. So coming back, I was like, oh my God.
It was Sunnymead, and, you know, the 215 was a 2-lane road. Right. Temecula was just a spot on the map. Mm-hmm. So
Murrieta had just started.
Murrieta was literally a couple of homes. Mm-hmm. And I think like a general store,
general store,
or something like that.
Yeah, on that little strip where the Walmart is.
And it you know, when I left, Carousel Mall was popping.
Yeah, and that hasn't had popping in a long time, right? Because I was stationed here. We'd go to the Carousel Mall because Norton was still open.
Yeah, that's like we used to catch. Right. Me and my girlfriend Anjanette used to catch the RTA out to the Carousel Mall.
That's back in the day.
When Hospitality Boulevard used to be that was the block, you know, and 99.1 and the Art Laboe Killer Oldie Show, and coming back realized that I think I had romanticized Riverside.
Right, I'm gonna go back to Riverside.
And it is, and it's beautiful, and I love California. My high school, and I love going to my, you know, because I could do the alumni games and all this other fun stuff, but I learned a lot being married. I learned a lot. Not about being married, but I learned a lot about who I was.
Right.
And it was, I thought that, you know, at 25, when I got married, and I was a mother of two, that, I knew, you know, I knew myself. And then going through the divorce, the counseling, the therapy, the short tour, the PCS, all of that was just this gradual building, this gradual, just this, you know, this exfoliation of skin, you know, just shedding layers, shedding layers. So I had to get to this raw point, this just raw emotional point where I was like, okay, this is my proverbial rock bottom, you know. And it was rehab time. It was rebuild time, and I had to rebuild myself back.
Okay, so you rebuilt yourself back. Your husband's coming in Wednesday. Graduation's
It's
Thursday.
the first time we've seen each other in 3 years.
So how
Like,
do you think
face
that's going
to
to go?
face.
Right. How do you think that's going to go?
It'll be fine. I think the one thing that I'm lucky is that we have a really good friendship.
Okay.
And, if I call, my ex is still struggling with some things.
Sure.
And he's always had these same struggles, the same struggles we argued about, these same struggles that as a 46-year-old man he still struggles with. And, we talked today, I called him today, the baby had, he started his procedures for his braces and all this other fun stuff, and we can still chat, chit-chat, like, he calls me about, how do I cook this? Does this sound good? He'll call me for little things. When he has a girlfriend, I'm like, yay, finally, yay. And, he's like, oh, well, we broke up. I'm like, damn. But, we both still have our faults, but I know that the love I have for him has a different feel to it. It's not a romantic love.
Right.
We have kids
We
together.
have kids together,
love.
right? I don't want to see you get hit by a bus.
Right.
I care for you.
I do, and I think, I will always root for the good man that I know is still there. And while he still battles his demons and, he takes it out on me sometimes, and, I know that he has struggles that he has yet to deal with. And I hope that he makes peace with that, because that's not something... Everyone has to have some type of peace in their life. Whether you get it at 46, or you get it at 26, or you get it at 66. You have to find some type of peace in your life. And he has yet to find that. And that's why, those people that, that age badly, or they're always, all these bad things continue to happen to them, or they are constantly stagnant, or they're moving... they take a couple steps forward and they're always moving backwards instead of moving forwards. It's because there's a part of your life where you haven't made peace. You have something, some chips, something that's within you that you have yet to make peace with, and you have to deal with the ugly. And if you can't look at yourself in the mirror, because I've done years of therapy, and the one thing I remember, the first thing I was... When I went to my therapist, he said, if you can't look at yourself in the mirror and look at yourself, he says, then you have a problem. If you can't face yourself, then how are you going to face everything else in this world? Because it's true. How you look at yourself is how you look at the rest of the world. And it's how you treat everybody else. So if you treat yourself horribly, by abusing your body and not taking care of yourself and not... maintaining, this one thing that you have, the temple. How are you going to treat someone else? How can you sit here and claim to love someone else when you don't even love yourself? And I'll even go as corny as saying, RuPaul said it, if you can't love yourself, how the hell are you going to love somebody else? And it's true.
Very true.
It's very, very true. And I think a lot of people need to understand that feeling that you have when you look at somebody may not necessarily be love. It may be affection. It may be lust. But love is something that... Love is different. It's just different. And when you're truly in love with somebody, because that is your ride, or you're going to ride or die for that person.
Right. Now, even though you're divorced now, would you... I know you're probably going to want to get married again someday.
Yeah. I'm open to it. I don't think we're meant to be in this world alone.
Right. Now, let me ask you this. Statistically, 70% of all black women have children but are not married.
Yep.
And have never been married. We're talking about they took out people like you that were married. That these people have not gotten married.
Right.
Why?
I think a lot of it has to do with how fragmented, how broken the black community is. Once you remove the black man from the house, once you've taken the black man from the home, you've removed the father figure. You remove the father, not the father figure, but the father from the home. Then they have no real representation of what marriage, love, commitment is. and a lot of people do find love later on in life or whatever. But, you know, when you have children, and I say this now as a divorced person, and I have 2 boys, I hope to find someone to show them what love is, what marriage, commitment,
what you see in your
is.
parents.
Yes, because I want them to understand that being with someone isn't a bad thing. Being with someone and going through the highs and lows, that it's worth it when it's with the right person.
Right. Now, okay, I have relatives like this. They were with this guy for 7, 12 years, right? Never got married, but they have kids with him.
And, you know, I see, the thing is, I don't think marriage is for everybody.
No, it isn't for everybody.
It isn't for everybody. And, you know, I have a girlfriend, they've been, her I guess I think when you get to a certain age, the word boyfriend seems a little antiquated.
I have friends that are grandparents and talk about she's got a boyfriend. There's something wrong when you say grandma and her boyfriend. There's something wrong with that.
I think the word boyfriend just seems a little weird to say if you're over the age of like 35. It just seems weird.
Right.
So I guess if I say male companion, it sounds like and her escort, but they've been together for a long time, and you know they have no desire to get married. They are happy
living in sin.
They actually don't live together.
Okay.
Well, which I think works for them. But I think the whole dynamic has changed and it's evolved. And I think a lot of people are feeling a lot of people feel like they are able to kind of live their own truth and not feel confined by the traditional roles, and they're not confined with, well, you know, because, you know, growing up as a female, you know, depending on where you're at, like, I know I have a girlfriend that and she's the same age as me, she was taught that, oh, you graduate high school, you get married, you have babies, you become a stay-at-home wife. And I have a lot of girlfriends that are that right now, and they're miserable. And then, because they haven't accomplished anything for themselves outside of the home. So, but then you have people that are happy with what they're doing, and that's awesome. You know, if you want to be a stay-at-home mom, cool. That shoe doesn't fit for me. Why are you giggling?
I'm giggling because I took this test, just off subject real quick. It says, what kind of liquor are you? And it said that I'm 1738. You are a real hustler and been making it hard on these hoes who sack chase. Cheers.
At least they didn't tell you were Ripple or MD20.
Right. Mad Dog 2020.
You Thunderbird. You a bottle of Cisco.
Wow. So got a lot of haters on there. D and all them hating on me. But, you know, I personally think that, you know, there is a problem when 70% of the women do not have a desire to get married, but they're bringing these kids in the world. And because they're not getting married, here's my philosophy. 1 + 1 = 2.
Right.
So if I have somebody that's working and making as much as I do, or just I don't care if you're not even making as much as I do, but you're bringing in that extra income, it makes our life better.
Right.
Versus, okay, I'm struggling, I need food stamps, I need this, I need that. Okay, I'm raising these kids in a hellish environment.
I think a lot of people, gosh, it's just hard because I feel like I'm kind of lumping people together. I think there's many layers to this. I think that a lot of people don't get married because they've had bad experiences. They've seen bad experiences. So they've seen people, or they've had people in their lives where they've had combative relationships or something like that, and that's turned them off.
But the thing is, when you're not married like that, and you don't have that legal representation, you can leave at any time.
And I think a lot of people want that no strings but strings commitment. You know what I'm saying?
See, but I'm going to have to disagree with you because, okay, I've been with you 12 years, we don't work out, I walk away, right?
Right, because common law isn't common law anymore.
Right, no, I understand that. Because they're legitimizing the side chick. They're trying to legitimize the side chick. So I walk away, right? But the minute I walk away, she immediately goes to court and tries to put me on child support. So what's the difference?
Well, and it's kind of hard because everyone has a reason for everything. No, you know, if I ask one girl, it'll be one reason. If I ask another girl,
sure. I agree with that.
And that it's going to be too many different variables to try to dwindle it down to one thing. You know, and I think a lot of it is, one, as we move into, 2017, 2019, 2020, people are redefining what the quote-unquote traditional, relationship is, and they're redefining it to what is individual to them.
Right. Okay, let me ask you. You've got sisters, and God, whatever. Like I have a bunch of girl cousins, and I don't tell them anything, but I definitely will not sit there and condone their behavior. Because I'm like, you're bringing all these kids in the world, you're in this situation, whatever it is. I'd say get married. Just get married. You can get a divorce. It's really easy. Would you condone that? See, this is why I don't understand. You guys have girlfriends, you women, you guys run in packs. It's like guys run in packs. Well, I don't. You know, I'm never around a bunch of guys. I'm never around a bunch of guys. I have my buddy friends. But I don't run in a pack of guys. I'd rather be around beautiful women. But what I'm saying is, I don't understand why it is that you'll see these women, you're all together. Some of you guys are doing really well, and some of you girls know that this girl's in the hood, and she's bringing this baby, and you guys are not correcting her.
The thing is, people only hear what they want to hear. Because, again,
but
I have...
70% of black women are not getting married.
Right, and I think a lot of people don't want to do the work. They just don't.
Okay.
Because it's easier to have a boyfriend. It's easier to...
Right, but what kind of boyfriend are you getting?
But they're not thinking long term. They're thinking right now. This is the society, and I'm not speaking as a whole. But again, right now we're in a society where everything is instantaneous. If I want to find an answer, I don't need an encyclopedia anymore. Right. I have Google. If I want to, I don't have to memorize anybody's phone number anymore.
Right.
If I don't feel like talking to you, I can block you. Everything is within a click, two clicks, or a keyboard stroke, and that's how people are taking. Well, you know what? We can be together, and you know what? If I'm not feeling this anymore, we can go ahead and go our separate ways. You can pick up the baby Monday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, and keep it pushing.
Right. In my experience, and in my dating experience, is why I can't really deal with a lot of stuff here, which I know limits my gene pool. What I can deal with. Women my age, okay, I'm sorry. If you got your thug locked up and that's a decision you made years ago, I don't want to deal with that issue or that problem.
And that's me.
You know what I mean? So it's like some women look at me and say, well, you got to accept. No, I don't have to accept nothing. I don't want to accept it. I don't want to deal with that.
But I think a lot of people think that, and I understand that everyone's going to have baggage within a relationship. But again, it's up to that partner if they want to accept that baggage. Right. And especially if your baggage has a felony behind it, or you have multiple children with multiple fathers.
Right, and that's what I'm saying.
Or,
I have two different kids with two different mothers, but I was,
But yeah, and I have two different kids too. But it's like I'm in a Facebook group, and it's a predominantly black Facebook group. And, we're always talking about this, that, and the other. And a girl had posted saying, I'm having a hard time dating because no man wants to take me seriously because I have 6 kids. And a guy had chimed in and says, well, here's the problem. And he says, it's not the problem that you have 6 kids. It's a problem that you have 6 kids with 4 different people. That shows that you have poor judgment.
Right.
Because if you're so willy-nilly to bring all these kids into the world with all these dudes, how many were you married to any one of them? Were you living with one? Did you have, were you on a lease together? Did you have anything that was some type of commitment with someone? She's like, well, no. And I was like, well, there's your problem. But then again, there's men also, and I know one of my criteria is that you have no more than 2 children, and your children cannot be younger than 10 years old. I don't want.
You don't want to deal with the drama.
I don't want to deal with the drama. I don't want the small kids. I don't want the drama with small kids. Right. I'm over it.
Right.
So again, I meet a very good-looking guy. He's very sweet. He's very kind. He's funny.
Yes, I am. Go ahead.
He doesn't have a job. He has a career. But again, he's got 5 kids.
But that is not me.
No, definitely. Okay. But he's got 5 kids with 3 women.
Then
I
you can do
said,
that.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, you can do
I'm
that.
going to have, this is where I exit stage left. And they're like, well, how can you be so selfish? I said, first of all, yes, I can be selfish because my children aren't that young. And I mean, yes, I have 2 children by 2 different men, but I was married to one and the other one,
was
that's
a mistake, right?
Circumstances I couldn't help.
Right.
But again, I'm not willy-nilly with one. I'm never willy-nilly with my genitals, period. And I think a lot of people don't take that into consideration at all. And I'm like, well, what? I don't.
Well, I always get this, well, give her a chance, give her a chance. I'm sorry. I understand, everybody makes mistakes like that, but when you're dealing with somebody who has thuggish, ruggish ways, I'm not from that world. So, it's really hard for me to accept that in her.
If you have, you're a part of that life and then you have evolved and you've moved forward and you've progressed in life and you're doing, you have a foundation, you're doing these things to better yourself. I'm not going to hold that against you.
Right.
I'm not. That's just not. But if you're one that is always kind of dipping their toe in the bullshit, I ain't got time for it. Because here, I keep telling people, and like I had a guy, and even with my online dating profile, I said, please do not be incarcerated.
Right.
Oh, please do not be currently incarcerated or have ever been incarcerated. Well, why would you put that on there? That's so rude. You can find a good man that's been in jail. I said, first of all, this is the reason why I say this. I have a security clearance.
Right.
I fill out an SF-86, depending on what level of clearance I have, between every 4 to 10 years.
Right.
I have to worry and maintain. I have to pay my bills on time. My children cannot get in trouble. I cannot be late on I can. I have to be mine.
A lot of these people don't have that concept.
Right. And so when I say, I get to know somebody and they seem really cool, but in the back of my mind, I'm going, this may cost me my clearance. I can't be a part of that. And if you can't understand or respect where I'm at in my life, then I'm sorry.
Well, I'm going to give you a clear
example. No, I'm
example.
not sorry.
Yeah, I'm going to give you a clear example. I went out, met these girls. I meet women all the time. I'm okay looking. And, she had this baby, and this was a young man with a thug, whatever. The guy was been out of jail for years, but he had led the thug life. But what do you think his son is doing? And you can't correct the child. You see what I'm saying? So why would I want to put my toe in that?
And that's another thing. If your children are out of pocket,
you know what I mean? Because the kid wants to be a thug too. Now here's this I'm only 5'10". Here's this 6'2" teenager. You can't tell him nothing. He like his daddy, according to her.
I ain't got time for it. See, the thing about it is this: if you're going to go out and date, I think again, there's a pot for everybody. But everyone has criteria, and I posted this on Facebook once. We're all ugly to somebody, so don't trip. It's true.
True. Very true.
But if people don't want to accept your baggage, then you can't be butthurt about it. Right. Because everyone has they're at a certain point in their life to where they want to deal with certain things. And you can't get mad at somebody because they don't want to deal with your badass kids. They don't want to deal with your dramatic, especially when you put all the tea out there and you have a dramatic ass baby daddy that calls you like y'all, and it, and I have a girlfriend, and I know her and her baby daddy. And the only reason why I call him a baby daddy is because they never dated. They were just friends with benefits. She got pregnant. They co-parent.
Which they're not friends anymore. But go ahead.
But so he drives her car, and he was like, "Well, I don't understand why this girl I was meeting, she was tripping because I was driving my baby mama's car." And I said, "Do you understand what you just told her? That you're still smashing your baby mama?" And he was like, "Well, no, I'm not." I said, "But yes, you are." Right. Because as an adult, the only car that I drive is my own, the one I pay the note on. I said, when I was married, yeah, you drove my car. But, I mean, you're not even in a relationship with this. Why are you driving your baby? Does your child, is this a special vehicle where you have a handicapped child?
Right.
There's no rhyme or reason. I said, so you're putting out that vibe. So this is why it's not working out for you.
So, in conclusion, what we're trying to say here, at least what I'm trying to say here, is for our young ladies out there,
and even our young men.
even our young men, exactly. You have to ask a lot of questions and ask yourself, is this relationship really worth me getting involved here? Now, for our young men out there, I've been watching a show called Paternity Court.
Ooh, what channel is this on?
And it's on Channel 5, I believe, KTLA.
Okay, I got that.
Or no, Channel 6, KDOC. I think it's
Okay.
KDOC. And all these people are being drug up there, even these old folks. And this fraternity, stuff like this, you got to ask yourself, is it worth it? And for our young men, I have 2 sons, and I tell them, you better be careful, because you're a paycheck to a lot of these girls.
Well, yeah, and I keep telling people, y'all think, sex is fun and all this other fun stuff, but one, community dick is unattractive. Just like, ladies, being open like 7-Eleven ain't cute. Not in any way, shape, unless you're getting paid by Vivid.
Right.
That's the only time that is cute.
It was crazy. This girl's talking about she knows who the baby daddy is, but she slept with this guy on Monday, then turned around and slept with this guy on Tuesday, and then slept with the other guy again the same day, Tuesday. So how could you go out there and say that definitely this guy's the father?
It's a lot of silliness, a lot of young-minded behavior. I'm going to run around, do whatever I want, and not be accountable for my actions. But someone takes away my toy, now I'm pissed.
Right. And for us young folks, especially us young men, do you realize 25% of our black men are being locked up, are being put into the jail system due to family court and child support?
And the sad part is, and that's why I tell people, you can't be reckless with your genitals. You just can't. You just can't be all willy-nilly with it, because
I was in Vegas a couple of times.
Yeah, you're playing Russian roulette. You can have a baby, then you become accountable, financially responsible for this, even if you're not even there as a parent. And you still are responsible for this human being. And if you're not willing to step up and be a man and do what it takes to be there for your child emotionally, physically, and financially, then you probably need to walk down and invest in a pack of Trojans, or go in the bathroom and beat your meat.
Exactly.
But that still applies to the ladies. Ladies, don't let no dude just run up in you and, oh, no, it's fine. You have to be accountable for your body. You just can't sit up here and be a cum dumpster for all these random dudes and then wonder why your child, little Leroy doesn't have a dad. Get on birth control. Be smart about handling your business.
There was a lady.
Your body.
Yeah, there was a lady on the show. She said, "Well, I don't want my child to grow up without his father."
Well, figure out who the dude is.
Wait. Here's the thing. She had a relationship with a married man.
Well, see, okay. That's
so
that's a subject for a different day.
Yeah, but how would you expect to have this guy in your child's life?
That's a subject for a different day.
Exactly.
Because I was the scorned wife. So that's a topic for another day.
So we're going to hit that one next week. But these are the kind of things that I want to warn these young people
This was fun in my apartment.
Yes, it was. Absolutely.
The AC was kicking.
It was kicking, even though it was a little cold for me. I didn't want to say anything. But
I'm sorry.
Okay. No, it was good. It was good.
You met my turtle.
I met your turtle. I met your cat. Beautiful cat. And like I said, I think this is a show that we need to do and get these issues out and talk about, not just for young women, also for young boys. Yeah. So it's imperative and important.
Speaking of young boys.
So next week, Brandon is graduating. Congratulations, Brandon.
Vista Del Lago.
Hopefully your mother won't be crying too much.
I'm just going to not wear makeup that day.
Good. You don't wear a lot of makeup anyway, so.
No need to.
Natural beauty. This has been Donovan Sadiq, Tay Wilder. This is Loving the Skin I'm In, and please, next time, join us, share and like, and we're going to get more stuff out there. So maybe next week we can get Dominic on the show.
And there's Brandon.
And Brandon comes in just as the show's ending, and we're going to catch him next week. All right, you guys, have a great weekend. We'll talk to you again later.
Bye.